Now that we have everything together for our initial manage token page, let's try to actually get the balance token balance. So the balance token in token. And we want to fill this into this span here with the ID balance token in token. And for this, we are going to update the logic for update the token balance function. Now I've updated the update token balance function, and I go this through with you step by step. First, we are getting our token contract instance of the token contract. So when we are running Truffle migrate, and Truffle will put the instance, the artifact of our fixed supply token here into the build contracts folder. And this will have an address on the very bottom here. So our artifact, the Truffle contract knows where to look for this token. In this case, on this address. Now, obviously, every time we restart the Ethereum.js test RPC, we have to re-migrate our token and also our other contracts if we want to work with them. So first of all, we go and get the token contract instance. And then on the token contract, we call balance off and we get our account. Now, before we can get our actual account, we have to assign it from somewhere. And this happens in the very start of the app function, which is the function to actually bootstrap the app. And this is at the very beginning. It's when we scroll up, it's here. We want to get our accounts and we want to assign the first account to this account variable here. I have implemented this now and I will go with you through the start function step by step. First, we get our exchange and token contract and we set the provider to the current provider from our Web3 object. And this is done by first setting the Web3 provider to the provider either in our Web3 from Mist or from MetaMask, or to a new HTTP provider to our localhost port 8545. So our Web3 in our window object, no matter if it's coming from Mist or from MetaMask, has some HTTP provider set. And we have to set the same provider again for our Truffle contracts. And this is what we're going to do in app start. So on the window event load, we are setting the Web3 provider for our window Web3 object, and then we are calling app start. Let me go back up here. Then we set the providers for our Truffle contracts. For the exchange artifact and the token artifacts, we are creating Truffle contracts out of this and setting the providers there. And then we're doing something very, very absolutely basic. We are getting the accounts list through Web3. And this is a native call. It has nothing to do with Truffle. web3.eth.getAccounts. It gives you a callback function, and all native functions from Web3 are arrow first functions. That means they will call another function and have two arguments or more, but usually two arguments, either an arrow first or the actual payload or the actual argument. And in this case, if we get an error, then we alert there was an error fetching your accounts. If the account length is 0, obviously there is a problem. We couldn't get any accounts and we have to make sure that our Ethereum client is configured correctly. And if everything is working fine, then we can set our accounts to the account list if we get more than one account, and we set one account to our first account. It's just easier to work with this. It's not necessary to do it like this. It's just for our example easier to work with this. Now that we have the start function in our manage token, we are calling the init manage token, and the init manage token here will call the update token balance, and the update token balance will get the contract instance, call the balance of the contract instance, and get the element balance token in token and insert the value of the balance of our first account. We also have a catch that is called if there's an error, and then it will call app set status. And set status is here a very, very standard basic function. It does nothing than setting an element with the ID status. And we have this here in our side panel status from our JavaScript, and it will just output debug messages if there's something wrong. So by now you should be able to understand how the initial workflow is from booting up the whole app, getting the HTTP provider, setting up our initial personal framework here with the accounts and the window app, and actually getting some balance and interacting with our token contract. And this should be very, very familiar here, this part, because we use the same kind of interaction inside our tests. And it's the same Truffle contract. It's the same way of interacting, just that you have JavaScript HTML interaction here as well. Now let's try that. Let's see what's happening if we're actually starting this. I'm going to start up a new instance of the Ethereum.js test RPC, and we'll migrate our contracts, and then I will reload our frontend. So I've now started an Ethereum.js test RPC with the test RPC command, and the mnemonic is always the same. I'm here in my folder for this project, and I'm still running my development server on port 8080 in the background. And I just type in now Truffle migrate. So Truffle will go ahead and it will start deploying our contracts to this test RPC instance, to this test RPC simulation of the blockchain in memory. Now that's done, and I see that on the same side our development server reloaded because the files exchange.json and fixed supply token.json have changed. Now I can go back to my exchange here, and let me see if web developer console is telling me anything. My console here is empty. It doesn't say anything than the notification that we are using MetaMask. And now we are going to use MetaMask, and we are importing our private key from our Ethereum.js test RPC into MetaMask. I will open up MetaMask now. I use private network on localhost 8545, and this will connect MetaMask to my test RPC instance. So you have to select the right network, and then I will log in. And I see that I'm on my main account, and I can try to switch the accounts, and you can see that I have a lot of accounts. But because I start my test RPC always with the same mnemonic, then I can just import my first two accounts from here, and I do this by copying the private key. I click here in MetaMask, go to import account, select private key, and paste the private key. And voila, I have my account, and I see that I have here 99 point some ether, and I will reload my page, and it should actually show me that I have 1 million token in this account that I selected here. So now the next step obviously would be to implement the functionality to send and approve tokens. And I do this now.